So this is PowerPoint on phobias. So remember we have to know where phobias come from and then how we use learning theories to treat them. So remember a phobia, get this turned over, sorry. A phobia is an exaggerated fear of an object or a situation, and it normally leads to kind of avoidance. That'll be the little bit I added on the end. It avoids to kind of avoidance of that stimulus. According to the learning approach, it is a learned response to stimulus. These are all common phobias people can have. Again, I apologise to anyone that has a phobia of these things. And what you need to be able to do is apply the different theories that we've learned in learning approach to explaining phobias and then to treating them. So classical conditioning we've already done. Claire has a massive phobia of balloons, and we did this example in class. And the key bit though is it's exactly the same as little Albert. Any of the phobias that you learn or we can explain are exactly the same as little Albert. And we've got something that naturally causes fear up the top. UCS, noise, leads to UCR, fear. In the case of Claire on that last slide, it would be something about the balloon. So perhaps she one popped in her face when she was a kid. Or she ended up swallowing some of the rubber and choked a bit. Something like that. So something bad causes fear. She then associates the balloon with that bad thing, which causes fear, till eventually the balloon causes fear. Same thing with little Albert. Noise of the pipe behind his head causes fear. Rat plus the noise equals fear, till eventually the rat equals fear. Exactly the same as little Albert. No problem with that one. These are all various studies that support how this works. So again, minimum of 2, maximum of 4. I'll give you 4 studies there that explain it. Chances are you'll use Watson and Rayner as your kind of main one, which is obviously the little Albert study. Operant conditioning is how phobias continue, the maintenance of phobias. So operant conditioning helps explain why phobias keep going. And we use that example in class, Marcus and his phobia of social situations. So every time Marcus goes into a social situation, he gets scared or anxious, and this is a punishment. So remember, a punishment is something that happens which makes you not want to do that behavior anymore. So Marcus goes to a party, feels anxious, so he avoids the party. It would be the same thing with little Albert if he kind of kept going with his phobias. Every time he's near a rat, he feels anxious, so he avoids any sort of white fluffy objects and things like that. When he runs away from the situation, that's like a negative reinforcement. So remember, a negative reinforcement, we electrocute the cage of a floor of rats or mice until they press the button. By pressing the button, it gets rid of that negative stimulus. So the same thing's happening here. The negative stimulus of anxiety is gotten rid of by them avoiding the situation. So running away from the situation acts as a negative reinforcement. And staying in his house, so totally avoiding it altogether, could be seen as a positive reinforcer. Because he feels nice and happy in the home. These first two are kind of the strongest ones to link into. Social learning theory is also about how we learn a phobia. But remember, social learning theory is learning through someone else. And we go through the various stages: attention, retention, reproduction, and motivation. And we learn from a role model, identify, and we get kind of reinforced and motivated through vicarious reinforcement. So, for example, here, my eldest nephew is scared of spiders. I notice that his younger brother is also now scared of spiders. How does social learning theory explain why he's developed a phobia of spiders? So, the younger brother pays attention to the older brother, who is his role model. He's his role model because he identifies with him. They're in the same household. They're both male. He views his brother as being older than him, so he wants to be like him. So anyway, so the older brother sees a spider and gets scared. The younger brother will retain this information about how to act when you see spiders, and he'll reproduce it when there's a spider because of the motivation he gets. And the motivation he gets is through vicarious reinforcement. When the older brother gets scared of spiders, the mum and the dad give him lots of attention, they make him say that it's okay, they give him cuddles, things like that. So the little brother is more likely to copy that behaviour because he sees what he's going to get from it. So this is how you learn phobias through other people. And there's some supporting evidence for those. The normal evaluation points that we did for classical and operant and social learning theory would apply in this case as evaluation points if we need them. Obviously using these as supporting evidence. When it comes to treatment of phobias, we've already mentioned modelling. Modelling is, again, using social learning theory, and it would be involving you watching someone who's not scared of the particular thing that you're scared of. And by watching that, you learn that there's nothing to be scared of. The two that we're really going to focus on in depth, though, are going to be two classical conditioning ones. So, two classical conditioning ones. The first one, systematic desensitization. So remember, you avoid things that you're scared of, and what we can do to teach you against that is called counter conditioning. So systematic desensitization aims to replace an undesirable fear by replacing it with a desirable relaxed behavior. We can't feel fear and relaxed at the same time. This is called reciprocal inhibition. You can't be scared and relaxed at the same time. So what we have to do is get your body to go into that relaxed state so that you're not scared anymore. So this involves 4 stages. First stage is a conversation between the therapist and the client, where we figure out what exactly it is you're scared of, what the biggest parts of that fear are, and things like that. And then we develop your hierarchy. So you make a list. So say you're scared of dogs, you'd make a list from the least scary thing to the most scary thing, building up over time. And you'd make that list from basically least scary to most scary. And that would be kind of our roadmap for treating your fear. We teach you relaxation techniques, whether it's deep breathing, whether it's muscle relaxation, whether it's meditation, whatever. And then we gradually expose you to these things. So, where's my example gone? This is a fear hierarchy. This is a fear hierarchy of somebody that was scared of aeroplanes or flying. Going from the least scary, all the way to the most scary. So what we would do is, once we've got this hierarchy, we would get you to imagine packing your luggage, things like that. And when you were starting to feel anxiety, when you give us an anxiety score, we go, okay, now practice your relaxation technique. Practice your deep breathing and your meditation or whatever, until you were relaxed enough that that thing didn't bother you anymore. Then we'd move on to the next level. And again, you'd tell us your anxiety score, and we'd practice relaxation to reduce that score. And we work up your hierarchy like that until you're cured of your fear. This again works through classical conditioning. Relaxation techniques, so your meditation or your deep breathing, causes relaxation. That's UCS to UCR. You then associate, so the CS would be the thing that you're scared of. So in this case, taking off, if we go far enough up. Taking off gets associated with the relaxation techniques, which causes relaxation. So eventually the thoughts of the plane don't bother you anymore because taking off is linked to relaxation. McGrath and Capfons both show that this is an effective therapy. But there are various strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, it's more ethical than things like flooding. It's got a clear rationale scientifically of the whole classical conditioning. We can do it through a computer or at a distance. It only works on certain things, so it doesn't work well on other mental illnesses. So it only works on phobias, whereas other things we use to treat phobias, like CBT, can also work on things like depression and schizophrenia. Flooding is the second one. Again, this operates on the idea of classical conditioning. And again, it's the idea that you can't be scared and relaxed at the same time. It operates on that kind of. So what we do is we put you into a situation that you can't escape. Say you're scared of spiders, you get put classically into a room full of spiders. Your sympathetic nervous system, which is the one responsible for your anxiety and fear, kicks in as hard as it can. I'm telling you to get out of that situation, that there's something to be scared of. But you can't escape. And eventually, your body cannot keep its fear levels that high. It must calm itself down. It has to relax. And since you're in the room and you're starting to relax in this room full of spiders, what you do is, again, associate relaxation with the spiders. So the exhaustion causes you to relax, which causes you to kind of lose your fear. This works brilliantly as well if we mix it in with some relaxation techniques. This is very quick. It's been shown to work in various cases. However, it can have kind of the reverse effect, and you could become more scared. Obviously, ethically, it's questionable about the amount of fear that this kind of provokes in you. So that is a very brief video summarizing it. Thanks very much.